Ladies and gentlemen, there is a skewer full of spoilers in this video for the entire compilation of Final Fantasy VII, but especially for one of the biggest twists in Final Fantasy VII the OG, and maybe even in Rebirth as well. Let's get started. It all starts with the release of the ESRB rating for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and in it, well, it gives us a little bit of details as to what is going to appear in the video game. Let's take a look at it right now. So, I'm not going to read this in order. I'm just going to read some of the highlights, and one of the biggest things here is, I'm just going to say it, characters impaled or slashed by swords. It says characters impaled or slashed by swords. Now, we've already seen one of those in a Rebirth trailer, Tifa being slashed in slow motion, but let's talk about the impaled thing. Now, I want to say that I think where everybody's mind goes who has played the OG all the way through is to, once again, spoilers alerts, Aerith's death scene where Sephiroth descends from the heavens and, well, skewers her. And my mind went there first too. It's obviously going to be the end of Rebirth, where we're going to be in that location where that happens. But we also know that by the time we get to the end of this game, just like at the end of Remake, things are going to take a major left turn into the unknown. And so the devs absolutely want to make sure that we are on the edge of our seat guessing as to what is going to happen at the end of Rebirth, and also they want to raise questions for what's going to happen in the final part of the Remake series. So it would only make sense that they would not have Aerith skewered by Sephiroth at the end of Rebirth in the Forgotten Capital. But then again, maybe they're expecting us to expect not to be, for that to not happen, so they're going to make it happen anyway and be like, aha, look at that, we actually did it, and you guys were thinking that wasn't going to happen. Anyway, I don't think that this particular rating is talking about that scene specifically, because there's a couple other scenes in the OG where, well, people get swords through their bodies. Now, the other one is when, I think this is going to be the one that a lot of other people think of, it's when Cloud gets skewered by Sephiroth. This is, of course, in the flashback that takes place at Calm, which is going to happen at the beginning of Rebirth. This is going to be exciting, but there's one problem there. And you're seeing Crisis Core footage right here of it, the Crisis Core reunion footage. This particular scene doesn't happen in the initial flashback, and if we follow the order of events that is going to take place in even the Remake trilogy, it's not going to happen in Rebirth either. In the OG game, we are far beyond the Forgotten Capital when we learn the entire flashback, when we see the entire flashback happen. And we don't actually get to see that before then, and so it stands to reason that we may not get to see it in Rebirth. Now, there's absolutely possibilities that we're going to get these memory hits and these flashbacks, these migraines that Cloud gets when he is reminded of something. It's absolutely possible that we could catch a glimpse of Sephiroth impaling Cloud, and then Cloud raising Sephiroth up with his own sword and then throwing him into the Mako Chasm. But if we rewind a little bit before that, we get to the point where, and this is in the first flashback, Cloud skewers Sephiroth. He takes the Buster Sword, which is like as wide as a human body, and he impales Sephiroth with it first. And that could very well be what we're talking about here on the ESRB when it says characters impaled. So that's the big thing with this video. Now, there's also some other really cool things to talk about, which is sometimes with splatters / pools of blood. They're talking about the violence, and I believe it's specifically talking about cutscenes. Cutscenes depict further instances of violence, sometimes with splatters, pools of blood, characters impaled, etc., etc. So not in actual gameplay, but in cutscenes specifically, they're talking about blood spatters and pools of blood. Whose blood is it going to be? I'm honestly not sure. It could take place in the flashback, and with the obvious skewer references, I believe that, that scene where Tifa is getting slashed, I believe that's her bits of clothing that we're seeing, not splatters of blood. And then we've also got suggestive dialogue sometimes accompanies camera panning close-ups of characters' bodies, outfits, e.g., just admit it, you're obviously captivated by my bodacious beach body. Oh, I'm sorry, beach bod. Speculations are wild of whose line that is, and I love that it's in the frickin' rating summary. It could be, there's obviously Aerith or Tifa. People are wanting it so bad to be Hojo, which would be hilarious. There's also the possibility that it could be Johnny, which I could absolutely see him saying that. I could also see Reno saying that, jokingly to the party, even though in the OG I don't believe they have any encounters in Costa del Sol. It could be Yuffie. Yuffie is definitely a character who I could see saying something like that. I mean, she, when the hoodlums are flattering the, nerdy Tifa, I can't remember her name, in the Yuffie DLC, Yuffie's all like, "Hey, what am I? Chopped liver?" And so I could definitely see this character being Yuffie who says that line. Do I want it to be her? Well, no, because she's also 16. Who do I think it most sounds like? Based on what I've heard characters say in Remake, I would say it's probably Aerith. It sounds very similar to something she says when you're in the dungeon in Corneo's, where she's like, "Come on, you know you like this.
Come on, you know you're into this."
So I could absolutely see her saying, "Just admit it, you're obviously captivated by my bodacious beach body." Just of course being playful and kidding around. But then we also have references to drinking, smoking, and then, let's see, the words shit, asshole, and prick appear in the game. Like, okay, shit and asshole, I get that. I didn't know prick was considered that big of a cuss word. I mean, pretty sure I've said it out in public before referring to people. Maybe I've just gotta watch my language around my daughter with that word too. But anyway, so we obviously know that the smoking references are probably Sid, but then again it says cigars and hookahs, so who knows? We'll see who else is a smoker in this as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's that for this ESRB rating. I think those are the big highlights, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about who's getting the skewer, who's saying the beach bod line, who's smoking the cigar, and who's saying prick. Who the frick is saying prick? Anyway, like and subscribe, and check out more Final Fantasy VII content on the FailroadExpress. Thank you guys.